Okay, yeah, so we want to see that the oil level is touching the flat end of the part of the stick here, and it is. It might be kind of hard to see because the oil's kind of clean. It's only been like 12 hours since it's last changed, so she's good for today. Sometimes you can't always have the fuel filled all the way up in order to fly. They're certificated to only go to 1,320 pounds per the FAA. So until Mosaic passes, that's where it's at. And these are such small planes, like a Cherokee can be upwards of like between 8 and 10 gallons an hour. This only burns like 4 to 6 gallons an hour. So we can only carry like 26 gallons of fuel together and 24 usable, but only burn 4 to 6 gallons an hour. Okay, so canopy closed and locked, we got that. Brake locked verified, so let me brake this. Master on, instrument on, and instrument section switch. So there's a main switch and then there's the section switch. 2 instruments, that's to power both of these screens here. Circuit breakers check, so we got 2 main ones for generator, EFIS and EMS, and then all of our secondary circuit breakers are all good. No whites, nothing popped. Backup pump on, strobe light on, and prop area clear. Clear prop, just let everybody know. Ignition, we'll turn her to both. And this is a cold start. So cold start, it says to throttle idle, choke, pull and hold, so we have to choke it. And then to start the aircraft. So I'm just gonna give her a whirl. Yeah, that's better. All right. Yep, I got you. The engine check, it should warm up, so we'll do that. So EMS checking limits, throttle 4,000. So, I keep my hand on the brake just in case. We'll go to 4,000. Alright, so 4,000. I'll do
traffic for Echo Alpha, departing the pattern
right,
northwest,
about 110 or so. Back to both. Left. Yeah, about the same. So that's good. Max 300, max 115 difference between the two. Right, so we're gonna do a max RPM check. What we're looking for here is just a 5,000, that it hits over 5,000 RPMs. So I always have the hand on the brake as I do this, and I just do it real quick. And that's what we want to see. And actually got to 5,300, which is great. All right, so that's good. She looks good to take off. So now I'm gonna do my pre-departure breathe. So if there's an engine failure, on the takeoff run, I'm going to go power to idle. I'm going to shut off all my section switches, my instruments, my mags, my fuel selector, rotate to off. If I'm going to stop straight ahead and avoid obstacles. If there's an engine failure after takeoff from below 1,000 feet, I'm going to be picking a field pretty much to land in.
We've got some fields right over here to the right. Turning back to the runway under 1,000 feet might be too dangerous, so I will definitely pitch for best glide and land in a field ahead. If it's over 1,000 feet, I might be able to make it back to the runway. So I'll be pitching for best glide either way at 65 knots. I will shut down everything I need to, unnecessary equipment, my ignition off, throttle to idle, fuel switch to rotate to off, and then keep my flaps on. They're electric flaps, so I need to keep some kind of power in here if I can in order to use my flaps to slow down and land. So the last thing I will be doing is shutting off my power completely. Okay. So I always like to bug my heading if I have that in an electronic flight display. That helps me, remember. She also tells me when I'm getting close to my altitude, if I'm getting close or leaving it. That way I know where I need to be at. So until we cross the tanks, we're going to remain at 1500 because of the Bravo shelf above us. And then I'm also going to give myself, I'm going to fly to the tanks, and then I'm probably going to track about a northerly heading out. So I'll just put in 350 for now. So trim's neutral, we're good there, flaps set. So we always take off with flaps 1, but it's always a soft field takeoff. So we do a soft field takeoff, so we'll rotate at about 30 knots, and then we should lift off about 40-something knots and remaining ground effect and depart. So that's always difficult with a new student to teach them a performance takeoff right away. Creve traffic, light sport 447 Echo Alpha is departing runway 34. We'll be overflying the tanks and departing to the northwest. Creve. Okay. So again, looking for traffic as I go. Anybody in the traffic pattern? I always tell my students to keep their hands off the brakes. I got the brakes right here on the stick. Right. I'll close that. Otherwise it just hurts my ears, but... Alright, so full power. And I'm at about 30 knots, airspeed alive. And there we go. We'll maintain ground effect until we get fast enough. And once we climb out at 55, we'll climb out at 67. Keep the nose down, lift up our flaps, and climb out at 67 is our best angle of climb, or best rate of climb, excuse me. That's what I usually try to aim for. And then at about 300 feet below TPA, we like to turn out, so we'll start turn. And there's our tanks over there. I'm going to start flying towards those, and I'm going to make a radio call. Creve traffic, light sport 7 Echo Alpha is on left crosswind for 34. We're going to be departing to the northwest via the tanks. Creve. So I always fly out to the tanks because the tanks are a really great landmark. So if I had my display up here, I could see, this is a VFR sectional on here, which is really great. This will kind of show you where the airspace is at. So right here, we're underneath that 2,000-foot shelf, and right over here, there's a 1,700-foot shelf. The tanks are right here at the edge of both of those shelves and the next shelf over, which is like a 3,000-foot shelf. So we always say, fly to the tanks, and then after the tanks, you can climb to 2,500. This is very fancy stuff here. And that's what kind of draws people in usually when they come in to check out our aircraft, which I don't blame them. I highly recommend these airplanes for instrument. If you're looking to do instrument flying, it's really, really great for instrument. And yeah, I mean, unfortunately, an instrument you won't be able to look out. You'll be confined to your screens. But it's also great for VFR flying because you just have so much to see in this canopy. It's really great.
This is Carmel with the Aero Experience, and today we're flying with...
Taylor Melbrod with Piston Aviation.
Awesome. Thank you very much for having us up today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
And today we're flying in what type of aircraft?
Okay, so this is a Tomark Viper. This is a light sport aircraft, SD4, Sierra Delta 4. That's what she is.
Yeah, light sport, we call them the Vipers, and here at Creve it's the... For most of us, it's the red and the green one. So which one are you in today? It's really orange, as I was...
It's technically, it's controversial, but it's technically orange.
So, orange or green, they're mint greens, beautiful aircraft, extremely well equipped, as we'll see momentarily. Incredible view, that's fairly obvious, I think.
Yeah.
Great training aircraft. I would imagine the calendar is full with this aircraft every day. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your CFI qualifications, how you got to into aviation.
Yeah, so I was never like, oh, I'm going to be a pilot when I grew up, I went to college, got a degree, And then I thought, oh, you know, I like to travel, so I'll be a flight attendant. And then once I got there, I was like, wow, well, I could be a pilot. Like, this is such a great gig. I love this lifestyle, and it's a little expensive, so it took me about 8 years before I could really financially, you know, find myself in a place to do it. So, but I knew I wanted to get it, you know, get it all done fairly quickly, you know, within like a year or so. So I ended up going with ATP and doing a fast track program, which isn't for everybody. You know, there's pros and cons to all that, but I did get in about 10.5 months, you know, I got my CFI, I got MEI, and I got II as well. So I'm rated in all those aspects, and honestly, I couldn't be, you know, happier with the results. But yeah, so that's pretty much how I got interested, and I just, you know, I knew I could do this, and it's honestly such a great career. I know a lot of people do a career change later in life, and I'm one of those people, and it's honestly awesome. I'm born and raised in St. Louis.
Cool.
So, lived here for most of my life. As a flight attendant, though, I moved around a little bit, but
Sure.
always been kind of, this has always been kind of like my home base, you know, so I've always come back. I'm always here now that I fly out of Creve, Coeur, so
Yep.
yeah, I feel a little bit more grounded, you know. Me being a flight attendant, I was usually always gone all the time, but now I'm like literally here all the time. Even though I'm in the air, it's still, yeah. But yeah, I grew up in the area. I did all my training in Archers, so the low wing aircraft, you know, always has a special place in my heart. But the Cessnas are great too, but I do love the Cherokees. We have a couple Cherokees here. We're getting more to kind of balance out, you know, the difference between what do you want to do, a light sport or do you want to do a Cherokee?
Definitely busy here.
Oh yeah, that's
for sure.
Oh yeah, at Piston we sure are.
Yeah, there's a lot of flying going on.
There is.
A lot of great instruction, all levels.
Yeah.
Over the last you know, couple of years over at Creve and now at St. Louis Regional.
Yep.
So there's some, you know, sharing of resources there, and that's a fantastic facility out there as well.
But yeah, Piston has 2 locations, one in Alton and one here, and yeah, it's pretty great, you know. They're expanding.
Your first time up in a small GA aircraft, was that part of your training, or was that something else that you did?
Nope, that was almost like my discovery flight, I like to call it, because I have a friend, he's still my friend. It's funny enough, he was a flight attendant with me, and he's one of those people that it's taken just, you know, if you're working at the same time, the process usually is longer to get through all the training.
Right.
So he introduced me to it. We flew a Cessna from Phoenix to Sedona, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Oh.
I mean, that kind of stuff right there, just, you know, well, I had to do it. I was like, all right, I have to be a pilot now. Like, you can't, the freedom you have with just running an airplane and doing that is just amazing. Yeah, it was honestly such a good experience. I knew I had to do that after that. I mean, these views, you can't beat it, you know?
It is. Getting that first flight down, or first 2 or 3 flights down, and getting comfortable with it, is a big step for a lot of people. So, you know, getting over that and obviously getting used to it and enjoying it after a while. It seems to be a recurring story, which is a good thing.
Yeah. Now, the first few flights of training is usually just getting you in the plane and getting you a feel for it, you know, flying around and stuff like that, getting used to the controls. You're just kind of getting the feel for it, like the aircraft that you're flying in, and kind of learning, you know, okay, how can I, you know, like, what are the limits of this aircraft and how do I, you know, maneuver it and stuff like that. It's just kind of getting the feel for it at first.
Where's your future in aviation?
United, so that's who I started with, and that's who I'd like to end up with. But yeah, so that's where I see myself in the next 5 years, hopefully.
Awesome.
But yeah, some people more than others do really enjoy the teaching aspect of it.
Oh, absolutely.
And I do. I find it really fun. I find it really, I don't know, it contributes a lot to a learning experience for me even. Like, I feel like I learn a lot more as an instructor. I've become so much more of a pilot just being an instructor, so. And you get a lot of satisfaction from seeing your students do well, you know. Seeing that how you're teaching them, they're getting it, you know. Sometimes you have to adjust your teaching style for each student, and that can be a little bit more difficult, you know. Not every CFI is going to be perfect for their student.
Right.
But I try my best to try to teach them. Do I need to be a little bit more hard on you, or do I need to be a little bit softer on you? You know, like, what do I need to do here? But yeah. some people just get it, you know. But when you're kind of struggling with something with a student for a while, when they finally get it, like I had a student who was struggling with landings for a long time. You know, the Cherokees are heavy planes. I'm always like, we had to go out there and just do a flight where we worked, you know, on getting the trim down, you know. So once that kind of clicked for them, like, that was so satisfying, you know. I cheered. I was like, you landed the plane completely on your own, you know. Like, when you're working hard at fixing something that you know, it's a difficult skill. You know, it's not always easy to fly airplanes. So whatever you're, you know, fixating on at the moment, if you're having trouble with something, when you finally get it, when it clicks, is like, oh my gosh, it feels so good as a CFI, you know, to have them, you know, reach that level. So, but then there's other people that, yeah, like a solo. A solo is so exciting and so much fun to watch. Like, I love just sitting up and getting my little radio, my handheld radio out, and just listening to them and watching them land. Yeah, you have everything right here at your fingertips. If you know how to use your avionics, especially with this screen, you know, it tells you your frequencies that you need and everything. You can get your whole flight plan added in. I love the view here with the sectional chart being underneath a Bravo. You know, it's just nice having this here so I know exactly where I'm at. Okay, it's underneath this shelf, so I should be okay. Whenever I give emergencies to my students and I have them divert to an airport, we have this great feature here, the nearest, that'll tell you all the airports nearby. A lot of them are private fields, which are like really a little bit difficult to see. But you know, if you have the time and you can manage it, you know, you can go to a bigger airstrip or something. We have, you know, I guess St. Charles is the closest one right now to here. But it'll tell you here, if you click on St. Charles, you can also just go to info, and then you have, you know, your TPA is there, you know, Unicom, CTAF. You also have, you know, your weather. You get your comms here, runways, the, you know, left traffic or right traffic, 3,800 by 75 feet, you know, for 1836. And then an even smaller runway over here for 927.
Right.
And that's probably like the biggest curve for most people, is learning how to combine flying an airplane, you know, looking at how am I going to enter in this traffic pattern, how am I going to do all this, and then I feel like it's the multitasking of the situation that's probably the most difficult for students. Is a lot going on at once, and you have to learn how to manage it all. It's all about managing everything in the cockpit.
What makes a good CFI? What are some of the qualities and some of the personality and professional qualities that you see?
Yeah, I mean, we're all taught to be respectful, and I think, you know, CFIs who really care about their students, and, you know, you have to kind of, you're here for the student, you know, you're getting your hours too, but CFIs who really care about their students and really care about, you know, their progress that they're making, they're not out for themselves, you know, just building hours or whatever. That is the biggest thing. I think people who just care about their students, you know, and you know how to, you know, instructing them correctly too.
Right.
You know, just people who just really, CFIs who really care about how to, you know, who care about the progress of their students and wanting to see them succeed. You know, like all my students, I want to see through to the end. Like I want to see them at least pass whatever stage they're in.
What about female pilots, including girls in aviation? Getting some of those numbers up. Are you seeing any of that?
Yeah. I mean, I see a lot of us. Whenever I see a new one, you know, there's so few of us. It's, you know, you pretty much know all of the female CFIs in the area. It's nice seeing other female pilots. There are still, you know, not a whole lot of us, but the majority are still men that come in through here. You know, through pretty much all of aviation. But I don't know, I guess if women are represented, like, you know, this video and stuff like that going online, they might be more inclined to, you know, take up flying and try to, you know, become a pilot. Even if it's just becoming a private pilot, you know, you don't see a whole lot of it. Majority is still men, but I would love to see more, and I do see, you see an uptick in general, though, in how many people are starting to fly.
The scholarships are available, and there are different organizations.
Women in Aviation, I'm part of that group. Yep. That's a good group to be a part of. They do have scholarships. Definitely a way to go. I feel like getting the young people, getting them started when they're young is really important too. I mean, if you can start aviation career really as long as you can, you had the world, you know, open to you. You have so many options and opportunities. Even if you don't even become a commercial pilot or whatever, like right away, you know, just becoming a pilot and having that skill is awesome. But I understand it's, you know, even I had to wait a few years before I could start on my journey because it can be pricey at times.
Oh, absolutely. And just the exposure aspect, you know, like our STEM programs and, you know, getting them in front of a VR simulator or something just to say, hey, this is a pretty good representation of what what's available. That sparks a lot of interest as well. So a lot of those new programs are coming up, and that's a good thing as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that really helps. I know a lot of flight attendants that are choosing to join this, you know, to take the path of pilot, which is also something that really, you know, just being introduced to the aviation, I guess, career path, like any part of aviation, kind of is like your foothold into, okay, maybe I want to be a pilot, you know, like to me, like that's how I started. I would have never considered aviation if it wasn't for me becoming a flight attendant. So just being a part of the community somehow, whether it's career or whatever, like just being a part of aviation in general would definitely, you know, make you aware of it. And Piston's great though. You should definitely come. At least have a discovery flight over here at Piston. You can even pick, you know, you want to do a light sport discovery flight, you want to do a Cherokee, do anything you want. We have discovery days all the time too. We're always promoting those. Great CFIs there too. I like everybody.
We're glad that you took some time to fly with us today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was one of my easier flights for sure.
That was the plan.
Yeah. Creve Coeur traffic, light sport, 7 Echo Alpha is turning left base for 3-4, Creve Coeur. I see that plane behind us. Alright, once I'm left base, I will do a second notch of flaps, wings level. Creve Coeur traffic, light sport, 447 Echo Alpha is on final for 3-4, Creve Coeur. Alright, configure to land. Airspeed's looking good, now we're just gonna take it in. Creve Coeur traffic, light sport, 7 Echo Alpha, clear of runway 34, Creve Coeur.